What we saw on the movie screens was just a fraction of all that. And he left these wonderful spaces within the films to allow us to go much deeper into. And so what people will find is that this will reveal secrets they never knew before. If you love the franchise and you love the films, you will find so many more, things that you never even knew were possible.
People start talking about you that after Mr. Bachchan in India, there is the second voice, which is Sharad Kelkar. So I think it's the biggest achievement for any actor to come below Mr. Bachchan and come close to him a little bit. उनके क्या पाँव की धूल तक भी पहुँच पाए तो बहुत बड़ी चीज़ें कहते हैं. So mediocrity is very high in terms of voice acting. People don't give attention towards it. They don't realize that if you see in history, whatever films made big, whether it's Baahubali or Pushpa or Salar, for example. Not just me, but all the actors who dubbed for the film. Or KGF, for example. If I'll tell you the dubbing amount, what the producer gets for the film, you would laugh at me that you're joking or something like that.
Please do.
It's like the peanuts they're spending on the quality.
The immense potential that we think that we're only getting started with the stories we can tell in this world.
It has a very interesting suspense.
Hello, I'm Atulya and welcome to midday.com. Today we are in conversation with two Sharads, very talented Sharads. One is Sharad Devarajan and Mr. Sharad Kelkar. And we're going to be talking about SS Rajamouli's Baahubali Crown of Blood. But this time, the creators are a little different. The world is the same, but we have a different story. Can we call it a prequel? No. Should we?
It's a midway.
It's a midway.
It's a midway.
Yeah.
So would you care to explain what it is?
Yeah. So anyone who's a fan of the movies, as everyone in the world is, there's a beautiful part of that movie where we see the princes growing up.
Yeah.
And we see the princesses rise, right? And they're competing for the throne. So in many ways, this is not before that scene. This is not after that. This is right in the middle of those movies, right? So we're capturing, there were spaces when Rajamouli was so brilliant when he created this universe. And after the first film, I got my chance to go spend some time with him. And he showed me the amount of stories that he had developed over years to try and really craft this amazing world that he had built. So what we saw on the movie screens was just a fraction of all that. And he left these wonderful spaces within the films to allow us to go much deeper into. And so what people will find is that this will reveal secrets they never knew before. If you love the franchise and you love the films, you will find so many more things that you never even knew were possible and what motivated some of these characters, the rise of how they became who they are through this series. But also if you've never seen the films, which maybe you're that one person, that this will also be something that you can still enjoy just on its own, right? And we'll be treating animation in a very sophisticated way. So the same tonality, the same complexity of narrative, the same complexity of drama and characters is what we're trying to bring to animation for India, which is really pushing the boundaries with an older animation, and really bringing the audience there. Yeah.
But like you said, like Baahubali is known for its grand scale and its storytelling format as well. So when you bring it into an animation format, was it a challenge for you?
Yeah, it's an absolute challenge. But the key is not to try and ape the other mediums, right? Because clearly one thing that no one can replicate is when Rajamouli sir is actually directing a film and doing a film. I mean, that is a brilliance that is, a true genius of craft, right? And any film he ever does is, such a labor of love and, it's like watching a Da Vinci masterpiece. So from our point of view was to use the medium of animation as best we could. And to try and play within the boundaries of what we're trying to do in an episodic format for that. So, what we're really trying to do is do something just in the same way that a George Lucas may create a Star Wars, and there could be animated shows around that, and then there's obviously the big live action films. There's so many ways for fans to come deeper down into the world. And into that universe and find deeper connections with those characters in these ways. So we started with comic books, which I worked with him very long on the graphic novels, and just so many stories to tell. But how each of those stories has to be told can be in a very different medium and in a very different format. But the soul essence of the characters, the feeling, should be what comes through. Yeah.
And SK, coming to you, I want to go back almost a decade because Baahubali completes a decade next year.
Correct.
And people still remember you for that voice. So I want to know, like, when you were dubbing for this film for the first time, were you like even remotely aware that this film is going to change the Indian film industry and also your career?
I'll be very, very honest because before dubbing the film, I saw Rajamouli's films and I'm a huge fan. I was a huge fan, I'm a bigger fan now.
Yeah.
So when they called me for the voice test, I said, can I meet him in person? That yes, he's in Bombay, you can go and meet. So I gave my voice test, I took the tape and took it to him. Yes, met him, this is I am Sharad Kelkar. No, I know. Somebody mentioned. Yeah. And next day I got a call. And I was fortunate that he was doing his post work in Bombay itself, and he used to come every day for dubbing. When I saw the film, I said, this guy creates something else, first of all. From Magadira to Makhi, it's a huge transition, first of all. The genre is completely different, the imagination is completely different, and he executes to the T. So this, what he is creating right now, because the first copy which came to me, it was without VFX and without, all that, what do you call it, when you
The raw
fill in
complete,
the blanks and you just, it was just basic chroma shoot, and I said, yeah, this gonna look something else, but I didn't know that it will become a rage or it will become so big. While doing, obviously when you start dubbing it and day by day or with months you get the final copies, because you keep on changing somewhere, or he checks it and again you get a new copy of the film and you see. So every second or third day I used to get something new version of the visuals. I said, I have seen Magadira. It is again a period film. This is again a fictional period film which he is doing. But the visuals are completely different. I think the animation or the VFX is on a very big scale or on a higher scale. But still, I was not aware that this is going to become the Baahubali. And people were also not aware that I am dubbing for it. That was the best part. After the film released, I think after that 6-7 months were gone. And slowly and gradually in the viewers or in the audience, they started talking, or somebody posted on social media, guys, Sharad Kelkar has dubbed for Baahubali. Then the question for whom he has dubbed. These questions were arising, and almost a year later, people started realizing that I have dubbed for the film.
Took a year.
Nobody knew, because I didn't promote anything, because for me it was like a big opportunity. I said, why should I, spoil it? When the second part came, and the trailer, then when the first part ended, कि कट्टप्पा ने बाहुबली को क्यों मारा? Then they started knowing that I have dubbed it. And pre-release of second film, this question became a pain for me, because wherever I used to go on sets, I was shooting for films. Everywhere they used to just ask one question: why Kattappa killed Baahubali? But again, the ethical commitment you have with your director. So that was, and after the second part, I think for any actor, a 500 crore film in his kitty is like big achievement, and I think the world changed for me. I never said in mic, but understand, we all worship Mr. Amitabh Bachchan as an actor and with a brilliant voice. And when people start talking about you, that after Mr. Bachchan in India, there is the second voice, which is Sharad Kelkar. So I think it's the biggest achievement for any actor to come below Mr. Bachchan and come close to him a little bit. उनकी क्या पाँव की धूल तक भी पहुँच पाए तो बहुत बड़ी चीज़ें कहते हैं. So if I reach there, I think it's a big achievement for me. And Baahubali changed it all completely. The whole credit goes to SS Rajamouli, sir.
And another thing is, we don't talk much about voice acting. And last year, I went to a studio in Mumbai. You might know, it's Mona Shetty's studio. And I went there for a story, and I royally embarrassed myself by attempting to do voice acting. And so I want to know, what is the process that goes behind the scenes, into getting, and what's the difference between dubbing for an animation movie and also for a regular film?
I'll tell you in India per se. I'll tell you there are two different kind of people. There's one like SD who wants quality, who wants precision, who wants perfection in terms of, if he's getting animation, he needs that perfect voice, perfect everything in terms of, it should complement the product. And there's one side which is most of them. It's very casual for them. Okay, fine, we'll dub it in Hindi with anyone, and it says it's a casual approach towards it. And that is the sad part. 90%, 95% people are like that. So mediocrity is very high in terms of voice acting. People don't give attention towards it. They don't realize that if you see in history, whatever films made big, whether it's Baahubali or Pushpa or Salar, for example, not just me, but all the actors who dubbed for the film, or KGF, for example. I think all the actors have done their job to the T, and that's why the film sounds so good. If you're watching in other language, you don't feel that it's a Telugu film or it's a Kannada film or it's other language film. You feel like it's a Hindi film. So, but in India, I think that's the approach people follow. We don't. But I think things will change. I keep on telling them Please change your approach. Mediocrity can run for a while, but it can't win the race. If you want to win the race, you have to be close to perfection.
Yeah.
And I would also say for animation in particular, you know, what Sharad Kelkar has done and all of the amazing actors we brought in to do the voice acting for both Legend of Hanuman and for, you know, Baahubali Crown of Blood, and I've had the great fortune of working with him on both. It is as much of a studying of acting as anything else. He takes the time, he reads the scripts, the nuanced direction, because unlike even doing a dub, when you're doing voice acting for animation, you don't have anything but that script. So we are actually building the animation based largely on that performance that comes in. And so Jeevan J. Kang, the director of the series, worked very closely with him on just trying to make sure that he understood every subtle aspect of what those scenes were going to entail, and the scripts tried to be as detailed as possible to give that direction, but it really took an amazing actor like you to pore over those scripts, to read them, to understand them in that way.
These days makes my job very easy because in normal films, the description is not in that detail. But if you see Legend of Hanuman script or if you see Baahubali script, the script narration, apart from the dialogues, the narration is so precise, so clear, that somewhere you normally tend to miss the description and you go down and you do the scene and then again you look up and see, oh, the description is something else. Can we redub it?
Right.
So in fact, I wanted to check all the episodes again, but I think they were quite happy with it, so I didn't. Otherwise, I wanted to see how it's looking. But I trust always. I've never seen monitors in my life. I don't go back to monitor and watch my shot.
Yeah.
So I will not, recheck it because they have QC is happening here. So, but I understand this process, and it's not getting that due which dubbing industry should get. That's what I feel. In my recent interviews, I told them all the big films which comes to India.
Right.
If you see the box office,
Yeah.
a good film earns somewhere around 30-35 crores in Hindi,
Yeah.
right? And if I'll tell you the dubbing amount what the producer gets for the film, you would laugh at me that you're joking or something like that.
Please do.
It's like that peanuts they're spending on the quality. That's why those films might do good. I think from 35 they can jump to 100 crores in India, or maybe a South film. You've seen the results.
Yeah.
A good dubbed film has done wonders. I don't know why they don't do it.
Even with voice industry, it's just an evolving industry. Like animation industry is also evolving in India, but there is an imposed target audience to animation and content, like storytelling. Like it's for children. So how do you change that narrative around animation?
This has been a mission of my life, right? It has been my mission in graphic novels and comics. Now it is my mission in animation. It is to change the entire perception of animation to not be seen as a kid's genre, but to be seen as a medium that could be as expressive of any storyteller. And we have seen this in Japan, we have seen this around the world where Miyazaki and other filmmakers use the medium of animation to tell some of the most complex, rich, human experience stories that transcend ages, transcend languages, transcend borders, right? So, there's no reason that we, as one of the greatest storytelling communities in the world, shouldn't be using the same medium in the same way.
Yeah.
The real reality is that I think people are starting to change. So over the years that we have been at this, Legend of Hanuman was a watershed moment to get audiences to see animation in a different perspective, to forget it's an animation and start to just focus in on the characters and the story. And I think clearly that was an initial, when I first even met with Rajamouli, we had this vision of animation together, of making sure that same tone would be there. And what people will find in this story in particular is that it pushes the boundaries even more. The complexity of the narrative, the themes that we touch upon, would never be for a kid's broadcaster.
Yeah.
This is something that I hope will usher in a whole generation, just like we have seen Japanese anime do for entire generations around the world. We have the largest youth market in the world today with 700 million under the age of 25. And outside, in the character entertainment space, is a $200 billion a year industry. There's no reason we shouldn't be also dominating that industry with incredible creativity in this country. We have some of the best animation studios, but they've been unfortunately relegated to outsourcing. But the real goal is, can we transform the perception of this country from being the outsourcer to being the source when it comes to original animation, character entertainment, all of this amazing narrative that has been really the focus. Yeah.
But where do we lag? Is it a lack of audience acceptance, or is it within the industry people are not willing to
Conviction.
experiment?
It's in both, right? I mean, in some ways, I'd say the first is that the audience has a perception in their mind of what they think animation is. So we have to keep hammering them with trying an experience. And then when they try it, we have to make them get into the ride very quickly. So that onus is on us as storytellers. It's a very complicated challenge. The second is the gatekeepers. And I would say that we found a true champion in Disney+Hotstar and Gaurav Banerjee because he took the risk many others did not take. They didn't take because they didn't have teams that understood animation for anything other than kids, and they didn't really believe and have that conviction to really take that chance. Whereas, Disney, I think, has been synonymous with animation for its entire history. And, I think Gaurav really decided to take that jump into something like this. And it takes a number of champions from a number of different things, but our hope is that once people have seen the potential, that we see a lot more of a rising ecosystem now shape. So it's for us, a rising tide lifts all boats. So we want every streamer, every creator, every producer to start experimenting with animation. In fact, I think that the thing that's ready to happen is a theatrical animated film that will also shape India. And we are working hard to see how that can be done as well.
Lastly, I want to ask, will Crown of Blood be a limited season or will be multiple seasons?
Well, we can't give away anything yet, but what I can say is when people see the ending of Crown of Blood, my hope is that they'll see the immense potential that we think that we're only getting started with the stories we can tell in this world.
It has a very interesting suspense.
So is it like cut upon a Baahubali ko kyun mara? Once again there'll be a repeat of that cliffhanger.
Yes, there's a cliffhanger.
Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely talking to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.